The day my family decided I was worth less than the garbage outside was the day I stopped begging for their love. I stood in the freezing Oregon air, listening to the muffled music of a wedding that I was forbidden from joining. My burgundy dress brushed against the waste bins where they assigned my seat. It was a humiliating moment, but it became the catalyst for a truth that would soon shatter their world. The resort was a picture of extreme wealth, overlooking a glass lake and filled with glowing candles. Inside the grand ballroom, chandeliers sparkled over tables decorated with white orchids. I had traveled for hours alone from Seattle just to receive a warning from my mother to avoid causing any scenes. My presence was treated like an unfortunate mistake, an embarrassment that required quick concealment far away from the important guests. Growing up with my sister Vanessa meant existing in a permanent shadow. She received the trophies and the endless praise while I became the daughter who required no attention. My parents called me independent, but that was simply a convenient label for being ignored. I discovered the depth of this erasure years ago when I found the private diary of my mother. Every single page celebrated Vanessa, while my name never appeared even once. That realization taught me that my family viewed me as entirely invisible. Now standing near the service entrance of the resort, I watched them through the glass doors as they took formal photographs. My mother adjusted the bridal veil with immense pride while my father smiled warmly. Vanessa caught my eye for a brief second, offering the empty grin a person might give to a complete stranger before turning back to her adoring audience. The event planner approached me with a tight expression while clutching her clipboard. She informed me that my name was designated for the corridor seating area. I watched her point toward a single folding chair positioned next to the kitchen doors and the trash containers. As the staff wheeled out bins of dirty ice, I sat in the cold draft and realized my family genuinely wanted to erase my existence from this day. The heavy door swung open and Vanessa walked toward me, her white gown trailing across the floor. She paused near the threshold, looking down at me with a cold expression of pure triumph. She told me that the staff had finally located the exact place where I belonged. She whispered that I simply did not matter, treating my entire life like a minor math error that they had successfully corrected for the evening. I refused to give her the tears or the angry reaction she desperately desired. I looked directly at her and stated that there was always enough room for both of us, but she chose to diminish it. Vanessa scoffed, claiming that I always attempted to ruin her special moments and make everything difficult. She added that nobody needed my approval, then turned around to rejoin her expensive celebration, leaving me alone in the dim hallway. That final insult burned away any remaining loyalty I held for them. I reached into my bag and pulled out the small silver box I had brought. Inside was a beautiful glass frame, but beneath it lay a collection of printed text messages. A few weeks prior, an old colleague of her fiancé had shown me evidence of how Vanessa truly viewed the man she was marrying, revealing her predatory plans. The printed documents detailed her explicit schemes to manipulate her wealthy fiancé, a kind man named Christian. Vanessa had boasted about how simple it was to make him trust her with his family fortune. She wrote about using fake tears to secure the estate and the inheritance. I walked over to the main gift table, quietly placed the silver box on top of the pile, and walked out to my car. The cool night air rushed over me as I walked across the gravel parking lot. I started the engine of my vehicle and looked back at the glowing windows of the ballroom. I did not feel sadness or regret, only a profound sense of stillness. As I began to drive away, a sharp and piercing scream echoed across the water, cutting through the music and signaling that the truth had finally been uncovered. Inside the ballroom, a relative had suggested opening a few presents early for the entertainment of the guests. Vanessa had joyfully unwrapped my silver box, only for the printed messages to fall directly onto the table. Christian picked them up and began reading the pale blue text bubbles aloud. He read her words about how easy he was to control, and how she planned to take his money by the winter. The room turned completely silent as the horrifying revelations spread among the crowd. The mother of the groom, a sophisticated woman named Eleanor, stepped forward with a frosty expression. She revealed that similar messages had been sent to her earlier that morning by a disgruntled stylist. Vanessa grew pale, attempting to claim the evidence was fabricated, but the exact dates and matching phone numbers proved the complete reality of her deception. Christian did not yell or lose his temper. Instead, his face hardened with absolute disgust. He reached into his suit jacket and produced a legal document that he had prepared as a precaution. He placed the signed annulment papers directly onto the table in front of her. He told her that she had humiliated herself, and that he would not allow her lies to ruin his family name any longer. Vanessa turned to our parents, begging them to intervene and fix the disaster. My mother stood completely frozen, her wine glass shaking violently in her hand. My father refused to look at her, staring down at the floor in deep shame. For the first time in their lives, they did not step forward to rescue their golden child from the consequences of her own cruel and calculated actions. The expensive celebration collapsed into total chaos as Christian and Eleanor walked out of the resort. Guests began checking their phones as the scandal immediately leaked onto social media platforms. My father looked at Vanessa and told her that she owed me a massive apology. Vanessa wept bitterly, screaming that I was not even part of the family, but my father simply shook his head and walked away into the dark night. By the time I reached my apartment in Seattle, the morning sun was starting to rise over the skyline. My phone was inundated with dozens of missed calls and desperate messages from my mother. She claimed that they did not know the truth, using her classic excuse for ignoring reality. I refused to reply, placing the phone face down on the counter and choosing to embrace the beautiful silence instead. I opened my laptop and booked a small cabin along the coast where I could find genuine peace. Standing on my balcony, I realized that my silence was no longer a sign of weakness or invisibility. I had spent my entire life trying to fit at a table where I was never welcome. Now I was finally ready to construct my own space, far away from their toxic dynamics. The memory of the chair by the waste containers no longer brought me any pain. It was simply the moment that set me free from a lifetime of emotional captivity. Walking away from people who refuse to value you is not an act of surrender. It is the ultimate realization of your own worth, and the beautiful beginning of a completely free life.